What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Jabcast. I am Ben, and with me today, as always, are my two lovely co-hosts, Alec and Jared. What you guys been up to? What you guys getting into?
Not much. A lot of everything I got into is what we're going to talk about today. So
Fair enough.
take that how you will.
Alec, you've been busy.
Yeah, I have been working pretty much all weekend. Yesterday I worked an event called Pig Jig. I was out at a Darius Rucker concert. It was pretty cool. Free barbecue and everything.
Ooh.
It was awesome.
That was actually when they were interviewing you for your job. That was actually in the bonus. It's
yeah, it was. That was my bonus for my job.
Darius Rucker concerts.
Yeah, it was fun.
But he's only going to do Hootie and the Blowfish songs.
Yeah, he actually did a lot more than I thought he was going to.
I mean, we all know that Hootie and the Blowfish is the best musical group of all time. So I'm sure you were well entertained.
Oh, I definitely was. I asked one of my coworkers what they thought Hootie and the Blowfish genre was, because we didn't really think it was like country, but it kind of was. I don't know what genre you guys would put him under.
So this is actually really interesting. I've talked about this with my friends before. There's like a genre of music from like 1995 to like 2005, like Hootie and the Blowfish, like Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
I call it The Office rock, because it's what I think like Jim from The Office would listen to.
What?
It's like white guy. It's like early 2000s white guy rock. Like that's what I would consider it to be. Like I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jim. Well, now I want to look it up if he's ever talked about what music he likes. Jim Halpert music tastes.
In one of the episodes of The Office, Andy like requested someone to play like a Dave Matthews Band song. So maybe that's
that makes sense. Nope. No. Oh wait. That's not a real website. What?
All right, before we get too far off track.
Yeah, there's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Let's just jump right into movie news here, Jared. What's going on? Pretty big news happened that I'm pretty sure everyone knows where we're going right now.
Yeah, so this has been going on for a couple days now. We're recording on Sunday the 24th. But Alec Baldwin, he was on set of a movie called Rust. It was like a late 1800s movie. So they've got flintlocks, repeaters, revolvers, that type of gun. And one of the props misfired, and he shot the director of photography and killed her, unfortunately, and hit the director. As far as I know, this was a single round, and it was misfired. Now, there's a lot of confusion. Yeah, well, there's a little bit of confusion too, because it's been reported that it's a live round, but a live round can also mean a live blank. Yeah. So I don't really get the point of like people hear live and they think it's a real bullet. That's not really the case. I haven't heard for sure if it was a blank or not, but all I've heard is it was a live round. Blanks at close range can still kill people. It's been done before. There was I forget the show and I forget the actor, but something in the 80s, they were shooting a scene where a guy was supposed to play Russian roulette, and the actor picked up the gun, put it under his chin like one would, or no, to his temple. And when you would play Russian roulette and he pulled the trigger and the blank went through his skull and killed him. So Brandon Lee, which was Bruce Lee's son, a similar thing happened to him back when they were shooting The Crow 2, I think, or maybe the first one. So this has happened before. It's not insanely common because there are a lot of safety precautions, regulations, things of that nature. There are many reasons why this happened. There's a relatively new armorer. That's what they're called when they deal with the weapons, prop guns, things of that nature, the ammunition. And to put it bluntly, she was completely incompetent at her job. I was reading some more recent news about it just this morning. She was seen loading a revolver that she had previously laid in the dirt and rubble of the set,
So it wasn't
picked it up,
clean.
yeah, and loaded the rounds in. And exactly as Alex said, some dust and debris can get in there. It's going to make the gun not clean, which could make it misfire. That's her job to be able to recognize those things. She did not. Several people on set pointed it out to her, and she had, oh, yeah, you're right. Go aside, clean it off, and bring it back on set. 24 hours prior to the accident actually happening, the gun had misfired 3 times before that. The armor had also given a loaded gun to an 11-year-old child at some point. Apparently, the crew played with this gun that misfired in between shooting. They just fired it just for fun, playing around. And you can't blame Alec Baldwin for what happened because it was, he didn't load the gun. It wasn't malicious. But however, I did learn today the production company working on the movie is his company. And people did a walkout because of unsafe working conditions. A lot of things, a litany of things, one of which being the gun misfiring 3 times before the actual accident. So a bunch of people walked out. One of those people were the safety checkers, whatever. And he just hired random people to come in and fill their jobs. So unlicensed, unexperienced people doing very important work, and it resulted in someone dying and someone getting shot. So there is a portion of blame that goes to him. You can't call it like malicious murder. It'll probably be negligence, but this movie is not going to see the light of day. They were already strapped for cash budget wise, and any of that money is going towards lawsuits now. Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know how much of that you guys have heard. I've been checking it every couple of hours, just trying to keep myself updated on it. But yeah, go ahead.
Like the reaction to it has been really interesting. Like I've seen a few people who are like, "Oh, this is like such a horrible accident," but I've also seen a lot of people who like seem to think that Alec Baldwin set out to like purposefully kill this woman.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he intentionally like shot her, which is it's really weird. I don't know like what the full story is because I wasn't on set, but I highly doubt that Alec Baldwin went on set that morning with the intention of shooting a woman.
Yeah. The people keep citing how he's prone to outbursts, which he's got a history of that, but not anywhere to this extent. And there's a difference between trying to murder someone in cold blood on the scene of your movie versus getting angry on an airplane because they told you to stop playing Words with Friends, which is what happened to him,
Right.
like 2011 or something. But yeah, so people were just kind of blowing that out of proportion. You can't blame him for, weird to put it this way, but for pulling the trigger because he had no idea that happened. But he did kind of perpetuate it happening by just creating an unsafe environment and not being considerate about the safety of the set. So yeah, really unfortunate. It's a shame. She was I forget her name, but she was pretty young getting into the industry, and that's not something you'd ever expect to happen to you on set of a movie. So it's just a big tragedy.
Helena Hutchins.
Right. Yep. That's what it was. I should have remembered it by now. Yeah. Helena Hutchins.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen so many different things of people saying this is all on the prop master and whatnot. And from everything I've been seeing of like people in the industry making comments, it's all on this prop master. And then I'm reading on this AP News with Associated Press is pretty reliable, pretty neutral. It says that an assistant director was handling the weapon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is going to be an even bigger issue, because if this is like a props department, props master's job, then why is an assistant director handling anything that has to deal with this type of a thing?
Right, exactly. And I think that's because of the walkout from the safety and everything. So yeah, it was just a series of unfortunate events that after each one they should have stopped and recouped, but they just kept going. And
yeah, I agree.
And now they see what happened. But yeah, moving on from that, I guess we can talk about our movie that we decided to watch last week, which was Mars Attacks. This is the movie I pitched to the guys. It's from 1995. We ran down the cast last week, but it's got Jack Black, Danny DeVito, Sarah Jessica Parker, Pierce Brosnan, Jack Nicholson, Glenn Close, Natalie Portman. Probably forgetting somebody. That was just off the top of my head. But yeah, it's I mean, I'll talk about it first. I went into it expecting it to be bad, but in a good way, and it pretty much it succeeded in that for me. It was so entertaining. The visuals were also terrible. The
Yep.
aliens were CGI, but it was like the late 90s CGI.
It was, yeah. I'll look up when it was for you. Go, keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah, I think it was 95. Same year Space Jam came out. But yeah, it was just so funny because the
96.
96.
You're close.
Yeah. But yeah, so it really bad CGI, probably because it's 96. But it was so funny to me because of that. Like everything was just made kind of campy, which I think was the intent. And the aliens were hilarious because they figured out how to trick humans. The movie's over 20 years old, so these are not spoilers. They're walking around going, "We come in peace," and they're vaporizing humans and everything. It's like your classic, alien hijinks that you expect them to get into. Really goofy. I liked it. It made me laugh. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly that. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, you better go. I told you to go.
Yeah, this movie was just absolutely ridiculous. It was like obviously paying homage. Is that the way you say it?
Homage. Yep.
Homage, but also like parodying
Mhm.
like old alien movies like the 50s and 60s. There were some like really funny moments, stuff that like I was not expecting. Like when they found out that you could kill the aliens by playing that like terrible song.
Yeah, the grandmother's listening to.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like so like out of nowhere that I just like died laughing. It
Yeah.
wasn't that like the thing itself was funny. It was just like I did not expect like that to be the cause of it. And like I also think it's really funny the visuals when they use the death ray, it like leaves just like a skeleton behind.
Yeah, it was either like green or red.
But yeah, it's so goofy. It was really funny. The cast was really good. A lot of good actors in this movie. I think like obviously the performances were meant to be like stupid and like funny, but I actually think that Jack Nicholson's performance was genuinely good.
Yeah. Do you notice he played two characters?
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so he was the president, and then he was that like snake oil salesman guy in Vegas that had like the glasses and the cowboy hat and the facial hair. I forget his name, but yeah, he was too.
But it's yeah, it was just really funny.
Yeah.
I don't even know like what I was expecting it to be going in because like I couldn't tell if it was going to be serious or not. But I'm kind of glad that it wasn't because
Yeah.
how are you going to be serious with those kind of visuals?
Yeah, I
Alex?
agree. I think it's just hysterical. All
Uh-huh.
the little stuff is what made me laugh throughout this whole thing. Like pretty much anything with Jack Nicholson can be really funny.
Yeah.
When he's meeting the aliens, that was funny. And then the aliens traveling the world, pretty much like redoing everything
Yeah.
and then taking pictures in front of things like Taurus as they blow things up. I thought it was just classic, almost spoof. It was like a classic spoof of a horror film. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny to me the way they communicated with each other, the Martians. They would just go, "What was that sound?" I don't even remember. It was like map, 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 map. Like that's how they talk to each other. It was the same sound. And wasn't there a part at the end when they shot a nuke at the mothership and they sucked it into like a little vacuum thing and then they got high off of it?
Yeah.
It like exploded in the balloon and then they pulled it into the ship and just went and just laughed about it. This is so ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, I was glad I watched that. I think that's what you consider a cult classic.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yes, next up we got our ticket to miss it category.
Or miss it. Take it.
Actually, two of us bought tickets to this, so two of us can talk about whether you ticket or miss it. It's Dune. I saw this Thursday night. Ben, you saw it last night?
Sir.
I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm still kind of like summarizing my thoughts, so this might come across like pretty choppy, but I'm trying to think of like the last time that I've been simultaneously impressed and like made to feel anticipatory. Like I can't think of like a movie that has made me feel that way until Dune.
Yeah.
It was visually very stunning. I think that's the first thing that people will point out about it. I think Denis Villeneuve certainly has an eye for really impressive cinematography. Just the scale of the movie is like hard to fathom. Obviously, it's set like across like a massive universe, but
Right.
this movie mainly takes place on Arrakis and a couple of other small planets. But just like the scale of those planets is like unbelievable. Like I can't comprehend like how large Arrakis is, because every time they would fly over the desert or whatever, it would just be like an expanse. Like you couldn't see the end of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the CGI with like the ships and stuff. The ships are like larger than like the planet itself. The CGI, by the way, was very good. I think that sci-fi movies are often brought down by pretty poor CGI. I think there were moments where some of like the ships looked really weird, but other than that, I think it was great. In terms of the actual story, it's really interesting. I have not read the books. I saw it with my sister, and she has, so she had a little bit more background knowledge going in. I had almost none. I knew the names of some of the main characters and kind of like the general concept of the planets that they were going to be visiting. But I didn't have any trouble sticking with it. I feel like a lot of people are daunted by it because Dune is just such a huge franchise, both in terms of length of book, but also just the size of the universe. But yeah, otherwise, I think it was great. I think the story was really good. I never was bored. Some people may not like it, but I think Denis Villeneuve has a way of transitioning you very quickly from somber to action-packed moments without you like ever really knowing it. There are a few parts where stuff just starts happening, like kind of seemingly out of nowhere. But that's really interesting to me. I kind of like that feeling of just like instant action.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I'm still trying to put together my thoughts. I'm often pretty reactionary, like right after I see movies. So maybe I need to let it like sit a little bit more. I am going to go see it again.
Wow.
But yeah, it's really, really good. I loved it a lot.
Yeah, so I went and saw it in IMAX. Oh, and Ben, by the way, thank you for pronouncing Denis Villeneuve correctly. I declared him my favorite director for a full year while calling him Dennis Villanova. And when I found out that I had been saying his name incorrectly, I was so ashamed. I wish I could just like, travel back in time and amend my mistake. But, so that's a sin I carry with me every day. But moving away from that, yeah, I share a lot of the same thoughts as Ben. I knew probably even less going in, probably by design. I wanted to know absolutely nothing about anything. I wanted to learn as I watched the movie. I knew the books existed, things like that. My dad told me little snippets about the old movie, the David Lynch one from 1984. He kept comparing it to that, telling me how bad it was. So with that, I didn't want that to be at all representative of what I thought about the movie going in. So I just went in blind. Yeah, and it's insane. Like Ben was saying, the scope of the universe and the scale of the movie itself are just so large. There are 15 books in this franchise, 6 by the original author, 6 or 7, and then the rest are by his son and daughter. I think they kind of take turns. Yeah, a huge universe going on here. And this is just part 1 of an adaptation of the first book. So it will be a lot of exposition, but you kind of have to expect that going in. And we've seen that before. Mockingjay, part 1 and 2, Deathly Hallows, part 1 and 2, finale books, things like that. A lot of book adaptions, they tend to get split into 2 because books are really dense. And a lot of times you need to do that. So I can't speak personally for how the book changed, but I had a friend that went with me that was telling me about it. And he said they streamlined and cut everything that was necessary Everything he said, it worked really well. The things they kind of glossed over that were touched on more in the book didn't need to be touched on a movie scale. You could kind of infer things like that. So yeah, from that perspective, that's a secondhand source, but apparently they did that very well, according to my book friend. He's a friend of the show, Ben Toohey. I'll name drop him.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
guest, one of our top guests.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the cast is absolutely fantastic.
I agree.
Every single main character, secondary character, tertiary character is played by a really top billed actor. I mean, we've got Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, Jason Momoa, Timothy Chalamet, Josh Brolin, Zendaya. Oh my God, Javier Bardem,
Stellan Skarsgård was in there.
Stellan Skarsgård, David Desmalchian, Dave Bautista, so many people. It's fantastic. And Ben, I don't know if you thought this, but Timothy Chalamet is such a convincing child of Oscar Isaac and Rebecca Ferguson, especially Rebecca Ferguson. When they're next to each other, there's a big stretch in the movie where they're together a lot. I could really, really see them as mother and son. I almost said husband and daughter. Not even remotely.
When they announced the casting, and my sister told me that Paul Atreides was the son of Oscar Isaac's character, I was like, how are they going to make that work? But on the screen, I thought it looked really good.
Yeah,
casting, like I agree with you. Just the casting in general was great.
Yeah, really great. What else can I talk about? Yeah, Denis Villeneuve, he's my favorite director, so I'm blown away by his work here, and it's insane because this isn't even my top 3 of his movies, and that's just a testament to how good he is. And this movie blew me away. But yeah, I can't talk much more without getting into spoilers. Yeah, I'll say you don't have to know about the books going in. That they tell you everything you need to know. And I said it to Ben, you might feel like they're throwing a lot at you and you can't keep up, because that's what I felt like for the entire movie. It's 2.5 hours. But I went home, and this is also not something you have to do. It's something I like to do. But I read through the wiki plot just to make sure I got everything correctly, and I did. You pick up on things better than you think you did, because I pretty much walked away understanding everything. It just feels like there's a ton of background knowledge when there's really not as much as you'd expect.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Go
talk
ahead.
real quick about the sound design.
Yes.
I know we're all like huge audiophiles here.
Yeah.
In sci-fi movies, sound is like super important because you want it to be like something that's close to what you can find in our universe, but also like weird enough that it's like exclusive to that universe. And I think Dune did a really good job at sound design.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the House Atreides had this thing. It was like an armor system where you strap like a thing on your hand and you turn it on, and it makes like a kinetic shield around you.
Yeah.
And the sound that made when it turned on was really cool. I was gonna try to like replicate it, but that's not gonna happen.
No, you do it and then I'll do it. I'll try my best and you try your best.
I think it was like
Yeah, I mean, you just nailed it. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'll try my best, but Ben just did it better than I'm about to do it. I'm serious. Like Ben just literally nailed it. I didn't think he would be able to. Good job.
But yeah, I saw it at the RC Extreme thing with the Dolby Atmos, and it was loud. First of all,
yes.
But the dynamic, dynamic,
that
like sound that like the ships made, they were loud, very loud.
Right.
The music was great too. I really love the music. Of course, Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I feel sound really adds a lot to a movie, but especially a sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Dune did it really well.
Yeah, Villeneuve does that really well. You can see it in Blade Runner and Arrival. The sound of the ship. I don't know if you've seen Arrival. The sound of the ships in Arrival, and even the way the aliens speak to Amy Adams. It's really, really great.
Oh, this shouldn't. I don't think this will be like spoilers, but I also think like at times it bordered on like a horror movie. There were a lot of really creepy scenes. There's a scene where Stellan Skarsgård plays the Baron of one of the houses, and he's seated for most of the first few scenes that he's in, and at one point he stands up, and he looks unnervingly tall. Like his legs are like easily like double his height. But then it's revealed later that he's floating, which I think is even more creepy. Where he is positioned behind Oscar Isaac, and he turns and he's just float. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just plays into the visuals of the movie. How good they were.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I'm pretty sure my dad is rewatching it right now. I can feel our sound system vibrating. But yeah, and playing off of that, in the Dune universe, there's really, like, as far as I know, at least in the first book, there aren't any aliens, but there are humans that aren't really human anymore. They use we barely even talked about the plot of Dune. It's like a big power struggle over the planet Arrakis, because it's got this stuff called spice that's used to genetically alter things that, well, for example, the way they got so advanced technologically is it could genetically alter people's brains so that they were smart enough to invent new things. So that's how they were able to invent, like light speed stuff, things like that. But they also use it to change themselves in different ways. Ben, you'll know what I'm talking about. I won't get too much into spoilers, but the Baron had a certain thing in his like throne room.
Yeah.
That was asked to leave. That used to be a human.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of like the Harkonnens, that's what the Baron's house is. They're human as well, but they've got like ice white skin.
Yeah.
Let's see. David Desmoucham's character is what's called a Mentat.
Mm-hmm.
There's him and another character, I forget the guy's name. He was with House Atreides. There's a point where they are thinking about something. They're doing like a calculation in their brain, and you see their eyes roll in the back of their heads. They're basically they're not robots, but they're basically computers. That's just how developed their brains are. And that's from using the spice. And the reason they do that is because they had an AI war before the events of the first book, and they swore to never create artificial intelligence again or any type of computer. So they turned themselves into computers. But I could dive into lore for a while. I've been reading a lot about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was really good. I'm really excited to see where they go with this. I know more about what's coming next. I talked about it with my sister, and she gave me a very good spoiler-free rundown of where we're going, because the movie ended on like a huge point. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I said that like a million times. That's just what I say when I'm trying to think of other things to say.
Yeah.
But Tim Chalamet was excellent as Paul Atreides, and the movie will focus on him, so you're going to see a lot of him. But if you're not going to go see that, you can listen to our podcast and to what we're.
Yeah.
But Alec, what do you have for us?
You said what was the director's name again? How do you I don't want to pronounce it wrong.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yep.
Now, what kind does he do? A lot of like sci-fi directing type of. Is that like his niche, or is it do everything?
More recently, yes. I guess his last three were sci-fi, because he did Arrival in 2016,
which was great.
Arrival. That was fantastic. And then Blade Runner was, I think, the year after that, 2017. Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
So that's the sequel to the original. Yeah, 2017. So then he did that, and then I think after that was Dune.
He did Prisoners in there somewhere too.
Yeah, Prisoners is 2013. So that's like a thriller. Yeah, fantastic. That's one of my favorite movies ever. And then before that, he did something called Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is also kind of that's like a psychological thriller. And I know I'm forgetting one.
Yeah. The only reason I ask is because I know a lot of directors tend to stick with a similar genre and not really dip outside of that. But a discussion that came up when I was at work over the week was Quentin Tarantino being compared with Guy Ritchie films. And I wasn't too sure if they were similar enough to really compare. Because like the one Tarantino film that really like sticks out in my head recently is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then I know he did I know he did Pulp Fiction.
Mhm.
And then Guy Ritchie is like the only one that I remember that I can think of is like The Gentleman. I don't think I've seen many of these other ones after looking at his IMDb page.
Yeah.
He's done like the Sherlock Holmes films. I'm not too familiar with directors like you are. So like that's why I'm trying to think like, are they really similar or are they kind of like parallel to each other?
I could definitely see the similarities. I get where that person was coming from when they said it. I'm trying to think of a word that like summarizes what makes them so similar. Like, well, they're very dialogue based. The ones
Yeah.
I've seen, at least, Snatch from 2000 with Jason Statham and Brad Pitt, and then I haven't seen either of the Sherlock Holmes.
Those are the ones with Robert Downey Jr., right?
Yeah.
I've seen them. They're good.
Yeah,
But like
there's a third one coming out.
a lot of even like the colors in like some of the Guy Ritchie movies that I've seen are like not
They're very
dark.
bland.
They're not dark, but they're like kind of cold looking colors. Like a lot of
Yeah, that's a good word
blues.
for it.
Like it's
Cool
not
colors. Yeah.
yeah. And then
And you're 100% right.
and then
Oh, he also did Aladdin.
Tarantino seems to be like kind of cool and then some very vibrant. Like I know like Kill Bill, yellow is the first color that comes to my mind.
Yeah,
So like other
100%.
than that, it's a lot of like blah colors.
Yeah. I think what they were going for is the I guess the violence of them, but kind of diving into the darkness of that, definitely with Snatch and with The Gentleman. It kind of it makes it dark, but it also makes it fun. Like they approach violence in like a very light-hearted way. I
Yeah.
guess it's the best way for me to put that. And that's when Tarantino is known for.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure how you really because like thinking about it, like off the top of my head, not looking at IMDb, I really wasn't sure how they really compared
Yeah.
to all that well.
Yeah, I see what he's saying. It's hard to compare Quentin Tarantino to anybody because he's got such a unique flair.
Yeah.
But I see what they were going for.
Yeah. Well, Ben, do you have any input here?
No.
I didn't think so. Well, thank you, Jared, for clarifying for me.
You're welcome.
We are going to move into our movie for next week, and we have a few options. I think all of these would be great movies to watch, but I don't know which one to put in. I feel like sticking with a sci-fi style thing or like horror would really be a good thing to go with since it's still October.
Considering when we record next weekend, it will effectively be Halloween. I'm okay with seeing Halloween Kills.
Yeah, we can do that.
It works
Talk about that
too. All right, so we will be watching Halloween Kills. I didn't want to read off all of our choices because we may go back to them.
Yeah, good idea.
We will definitely be watching. I'm gonna highlight it so I remember.
You can watch this on Peacock. Yeah, for free. So if you're,
I have Peacock
for that. So,
yeah. Pretty much all I use Peacock for is WWE documentaries. Not even gonna lie, I watch all of them.
You're gonna love this. My buddy today just found out that Dave Bautista in movies is the same Dave Bautista from WWE.
Really? You didn't know that?
Yeah.
Dave Bautista actually owns a tattoo shop in Tampa.
No way.
Yeah, like I could go down to his tattoo shop.
That's awesome.
If I wanted to.
I'm
not going to because I can't afford a tattoo. And all of our listeners can make that happen. Sharing with a friend.
Play it on loop as you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like $100.
This will be our 9th episode, so you can listen to all 9.
There you go.
Very true.
Go back, listen to the very first really cringy podcast we ever did.
We like build up a backlog so we can do like a special like surprise
A best of
7
series.
episodes this week.
Yeah, and next week will be our 10th episode.
So
Special.
so last night before we went to go see Dune, we were just like milling around trying to find some time to kill or some places to kill time, and we went to the Galleria. There's an FYE in there,
Mhm.
and they have a whole section devoted to WWE like DVDs. It was vacant. There was nothing in there, which either means that no one is returning their WWE DVDs because they love them so much, or people have just like rushed to FYE to get their. I find that like really funny, but
Did you get one, or there was nothing?
none.
Not one thing.
I went in
Wow.
for that and walked out empty-handed.
Did you ask? Hey, what's the deal with your WWE section?
I went up there to the counter and I saw the guy and he like looked at me and he knew what I was gonna ask him and he started shaking his head and I was like, hey, I know it's like scarce over there, but do you have like any WWE things? And he didn't say a word. He just shook his head, just walked out.
That sucks. That hurts. Yeah. You know what else hurts?
Everyone loves WWE.
What hurts, Jared?
Playing a Squid Game.
Oh,
Do you like that segue?
I bet that really hurts.
It wouldn't be a
That's what we do here on the Jab.
Yeah.
Point
Yeah.
out
If you're a
our
new
stuff.
listener, we are segue connoisseurs.
We highlight and we highlight them
Yeah, we
like with 4 different colors.
yeah.
Make sure to point out the segue between every segment.
Yeah, man, it's good. But yeah, the series we're going to be discussing today is I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Squid Game. It's on Netflix.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a Korean production. I'm sure it's literally the most popular Netflix show ever produced so far.
Yeah,
Everybody's
as
been
of
talking
now.
about it
Until the
Yeah,
next
as of
big
now.
thing comes out.
until I decide to write mine and send it to him. You know.
Can't wait.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm sure most people have seen this or heard about it, maybe finished it. We're probably a little late to the game to talk about it, but I think it's still worth talking about because it's still on my
Still number 1.
feeds. Yeah, still number 1. Still on a lot of my feeds, even today. And I think you know what? Let me look up when it first went on Netflix because I don't know.
September 17th.
Nice. There we go. It's been in the writer / creator / producer, whatever you want to call him. He's been trying to get this made for over 10 years. And I think he's been pitching it to Netflix for 10 years. I don't know what changed about it that they finally said yes, but they did. And that guy is definitely swimming in cash right now and writing a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I know he's working on a 2nd season, maybe more than that, but I don't know. Let's talk about the show.
Before we get into the show,
Yeah.
I want to know if you've seen Pete Davidson and Rami Malek's song about Squid Game for
Yes.
SNL.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen,
Anyway, continue.
I watched all of SNL this season. Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't know what it is, wow, I don't really know how to get in. I'm barely going to talk about the plot. No, actually we kind of have to because we're talking about the show and it's been out for over a month.
Spoiler warning. If you haven't listened, skip through.
Yeah,
Look in the
skip.
description. I will put the time we stopped talking about it.
Oh, yeah. See, that's why he's our producer.
Yep.
Ben and I are just layman waymans. But yeah, so this game, basically this, I don't even know what you'd call it, corporation, cabal, secret society. I'll say it's a secret society.
I think that works best.
They prey on people in debt. They only show people from South Korea, but I would imagine it's probably worldwide to an extent. I'll get into that later. But regardless, they prey on these people that are in debt. They get them to play these games and get so far in debt that they're like, well, we've got this secret for you. Just meet here and you can have a chance to get all that back and more. They're essentially chloroformed and shipped off to an island off the coast where they play all these games in a facility. When they get there, it's like 465 members.
456.
Ah.
That's the main character's number, remember?
Oh, right. And he was the last one.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's 456 people playing. In the very first game, they find out it's they're playing like children's games, all these challenges. They're very
Yeah.
simple games. But the consequences are dire. You die. I won't get into let's get into them. I keep forgetting. It doesn't matter. First one's red light, green light. You probably played that as a child where you
Kids today probably still play it.
Yeah. There's someone that's standing there with their back to a crowd. Everyone has to move closer and closer to that person. And if they catch you moving, you're out. In this one, you get sniped. So that thins the herd by like over half, I think. I don't remember the number after they wiped everybody out, but there's a lot of people. So it's like that. And that's when they realize, holy shit, this is a big deal. They decide to leave. They vote in a majority, but then they eventually come back because they realize how sucky their lives are. And then more and more games, people keep getting killed. It keeps getting thinned down. I want to start this. What was your guys' favorite game and least favorite? Alec, I'll ask you first.
My favorite was the well, how are we going about this? Like my favorite game that I would play, or just the one that I found most interesting?
Either or.
All right. Well, my favorite game that I found most interesting was the Glass Steps.
Mm-hmm. That was mine.
That was my favorite. That one. I was like, that is tricky, and that I was very creative and different.
Yeah.
Because that's something that, like, obviously kids don't play now.
Yeah.
But like I feel like if I was in this situation where I know people could die, I think I could have made it through the first game.
Yeah.
I think that would have been it.
That one was really cool. That one was really cool to me because there was like some mathematician or whatever that was playing, and he calculated the odds of being able to guess all the steps. I think it was like 26 long, and it's just 2 steps side by side. One you fall through, one you don't. And the odds were like 1 out of like 3,700 or something.
And tried to run through it.
Yeah.
We missed, obviously.
Yeah. What about your least favorite?
My least favorite game was the one where they paired up and played marble with the marbles.
Oh yeah.
I just thought that was very boring and bland.
Yeah.
I didn't think that one was very creative, especially because it's like, oh, pair up and then play your own game.
That one was
really
weird.
that one.
Ben, what about you? Favorite and least favorite?
First of all, in response to Alec, it wasn't my favorite, but the marble one I think was really interesting because it showed you more about the characters than like who played the games. Because like the old dude let Jihoon win, which I think was really cool. I'm probably butchering his name, but my favorite was probably red light, green light, just because it shocked me when I first saw it. I did not expect that to happen like at all. People just getting gunned down.
Yeah.
So I think that's my favorite. I think my least favorite was probably Dalgona, the one with the like the candy.
The candy?
The we have to like poke out the design in the
the honeycomb. Yeah. That was mine too.
Just because I think it, I don't know. I don't have to explain myself to you guys. That was just my least favorite.
Well, I'll tell you my reasoning. I just thought let me start by saying in a broader sense, the production of the show is fantastic. The sets, everything looks really, really fun and flashy. So to kind of boil it, I think the concept of the game could have worked, but they just used like the least interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
They just give these guys these little, I don't know, what are they, like 3-inch diameter honeycomb cookies, and they just had to chisel it with a pin.
Yeah.
I just thought there was a more creative way or a more appealing way to make that look. Because then for a lot of the episode, you're literally just
right.
I don't know, that got boring to me. But yeah, and we'll move back to a broader scale again. The production again, fantastic. I'll admit I red light, green light really didn't do anything for me. And I think that was ruined just because of the hype of the show. Everyone kept talking to me about it. They're like, oh, just wait till the end of the first episode. So I expected something that would like blow my mind. And when I see 456 people get into this room, I'm like, well, there's no way they're going to maintain this size of contestants for the whole series. So something is going to happen where a ton of people are going to leave right off the rip. And I saw that coming. So it wasn't that shocking to me that they all just started getting murdered. It was cool. It was a cool scene. It was definitely scary for the ones that survived and the ones that didn't, but it just didn't shock me the same way the others did.
Mhm.
So I wasn't immediately hooked on the series because I thought it was going to be all about the games. But then as you paid attention more and you learned about the characters and everything, and I should have known this because especially from seeing Parasite and Snowpiercer, which are both popular South Korean productions, it's all about classism.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not revelatory for either of you or anyone really listening. I think it's very obvious by the end of the show, but it was just written so well. There's so many allusions and metaphors, physical and verbal, for these different things that just point to, rich versus the poor, things like that. It's so smart. Especially the scene that really, really impressed me was when the what's the guy's the front man, the guy with the mask, when he turns the lights off or has them turn the lights off in between games when they're supposed to be sleeping so that they all start killing each other. It's just like an every man for himself type thing. And that's very reminiscent of poverty and things of that nature, that, when you're backed into a corner in the way that they were in those games, they had nothing else to do. And when they realized that they were able to do that just to get a leg up in life, they did what they had to do. And there was a lot of that in the show, not just that part. A lot of characters had to do things they didn't want to do to save their own life, to try to get to. We never even talked about, if you don't know why they're playing these games, they're getting a ton of money. It was
$45.6 billion.
Yeah. It's in wons, which is the Korean currency, so it's a lot more of that because of translate. I'm forgetting the word. Currency.
Yeah.
When you're, what's that word when you're
Exchange rate?
exchange rate? Boom. Yeah. That was a brain fart. But yeah, so it's a lot of money, and every time someone dies, it's the debt
More
they
money
owe.
goes in.
Yeah, it goes back into the pot, so it's even more. But yeah, the performances, the writing were so well done. I was really impressed. I was really hooked by the end, and it was surprising.
45.6 million. No, not million, billion.
Billion wons or dollars?
Yeah.
Wons. Okay.
2, 3. I just had to add three extra zeros, right? I think.
Yeah. Something like that.
All right, so I think I'm at the right number. That would be $38.7 million US.
That sounds right. I remember it being 30 something when I did.
38.7 to blah 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 blah. A lot
Yeah.
of random
Yeah,
numbers.
that'll
8
change
cents.
someone's life. Yeah.
Don't forget the 8
8
cents.
cents. Yeah. And that'll change someone's life forever. So these people were doing whatever.
100%.
But yeah, I was really impressed. I'm hoping for a season 2. There are a few things that they left at the end unanswered, so I think there will be. But Ben, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I hesitate to say that it was great. I think the concept was very interesting. And similar to Jared, I was worried that they were going to only stick with the games.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't the case. I think that the execution was a little weird, though. And my biggest gripe actually comes with the story. So I'm glad that we can spoil it because my biggest negative is actually with the ending. I think that when you have something as almost like anonymous and as open-ended as like the origin of the games, you can make it like anything you want. Like it would have been really cool to make it. If I wrote the show, which I didn't, I would have had the ending when you discover the origin of the Squid Game, the games. I would have had it be like a government run thing, like giving these people like a chance at like redemption.
Hmm.
But instead, it was just like it felt like almost like a cop out. It was like, oh well, it's just a secret corporation that's funding it because the bored people are or the rich people are bored.
Yeah.
I guess like it's fine, but like I don't know. I guess I just have to take it like for what it's worth. Um, Otherwise, I think it was good. I kind of didn't get like what all the hype was about. I think what was the hype about? You know, it's good, and I think the concept is interesting, but it doesn't do anything that's like super revolutionary. At least not.
Well,
I think it's strictly the concept that built so much hype. Because name another TV show that's like this right now. There
Yeah.
really isn't.
and I think the reason it was so hyped, and this is the reason I was hesitant to start it at all, was because Netflix is by far the most used streaming service. It's the one that people are most likely to have. So it's going to be most accessible to people.
Right.
And it just really helps that at the end of the first episode, you've got something as crazy as that to get people talking. And that's what gets people hooked. And people love that cultural conversation that we all like to talk about and we're actually doing right now. But with that, it kind of inflates the quality of it. Because the more you hear about it, the better you think it is. But that's not really the case a lot of times. And I don't mean to offend anybody by saying this, but because it's so easily accessible to, everybody has it on Netflix, it's just really easy to get hooked into it and just kind of convince yourself that it's good just so that you have something to talk about with people. And that's not to say it's not good, because it is.
Yeah.
But I think it was just hyped up. And I agree with you, Ben. It was hyped up to be better than it was because so many people just wanted to talk about it. And that's how you get people to talk about it, is I want Alec to talk about it with me. So I tell him to go watch it, and he watches it. And then Alec needs someone else to talk about it that hasn't already seen it. So he goes and tells his sister,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I do think it was good. I did enjoy watching it. I've had trouble lately watching like it's really weird. I can't watch like hour-long live action episodes like by myself. I like have to watch.
Yeah, you said that the other day. That shocked me.
Hard.
But
It is difficult.
This is one that I like didn't really have trouble watching. It didn't like change my life. I thought it was a neat concept. I just think like it had so many interesting themes that were like explored but never really like fully developed, and that may be due to like time constraints.
It touched on a lot, but it never like dove into any one.
Really cool like political undertones. Jared talked about like the classism, and I guess this kind of like plays into it, but like they would constantly like fight outside of the games. People formed like factions or like teams and like kill each other. They were in and out of the games a few times, especially at the beginning and the end. There were a few scenes where they left the games and then like went back. There was even like there was a scene where a couple people cheat. I can't remember anyone's names because they just went by numbers most of the time. But
That's why I wrote down a whole bunch of numbers, because I am looking at the IMDb page, but I don't want to try to pronounce their names. And have it be brutally incorrect.
right.
So I just wrote down a bunch of their numbers.
Oh yeah. Well, like two more things, and I'll let Alec talk. He has to wait. Sorry. The people who cheated and were like publicly displayed after they were killed, I thought was like a pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
And then another like thing, the side plot with the detective who like snuck his way into the games disguised as the worker. I feel like that had a kind of weird ending. Like it never really like resolved itself.
I know. Yeah.
I guess like if there will be a season 2, maybe he'll like reappear and it'll be a big like fan service thing. But yeah, just my final thought. Like I think it was good. I don't think it was like revolutionary. I liked the concept a lot. I think that on the technical side, the acting and the production was really good, especially for a Netflix show who often struggle with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just they can rush out content. But this was really good. I would love to see more not just Asian, but like international like representation on Netflix. Maybe there's a bunch out there that I haven't seen, but there's a lot of really good ideas coming out of East Asia.
Yeah.
And I think this has kind of opened people's eyes. Before Alec talks, just really quick, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about the the sub versus dub debate.
Oh yeah, well
I think you talked about this last week.
you have to
We
do
touched on it.
subs over dubs.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's something to live by.
Yeah. I feel like I would have better understood the tones and the drama of certain situations had I actually heard the Korean actors in Korean in the moment, as opposed to their voices being dubbed over by somebody in a studio.
Yeah.
Because it's 100% different when you're standing in front of a microphone reading the script. You can't quite give the same emotion that a lot of those actors probably were giving in the moment there.
Yeah.
So, and listening to basically a whole TV show that's fully Foleyed, I really wasn't a huge fan. And some parts of it just didn't sound genuine to me, which, I mean, I personally, because I'm dyslexic and I read slow, it was easier for me to follow the actual show listening to it dubbed, but I don't like it because it doesn't sound genuine, and the sound is so important to any good TV show or movie that I really think for something especially like this, you had to have it with subtitles, not dubbed over.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you. I learned from the best. But I kind of wanted to run through these few little characters that I had written down that really stood out to me and kind of get both of your opinions on it. Obviously, the main character, 456.
Yeah.
Last guy in. I really kind of had, for some reason, I had a feeling he wasn't going to go. I don't know why.
Wasn't going to go play the games.
I had a feeling he wasn't going to end up going, and then somehow he was going to get tied into it later on when he found out this other person was in it. I feel like that's how he would have ended up getting roped in.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if you guys had that kind of feeling or saw some weird things about it later on.
No, I had some things spoiled. Not really spoiled, but I kept seeing his face with like any memes or anything about the show. So I was like, okay, I was like, yeah, so we're following this guy. So I was like, yeah.
And then I also had his friend that he actually found in there, who is it was supposed to be on like a business trip. That's what he told everybody, but he's actually there because he's in debt.
Yeah.
But his friend, I think, was pretty instrumental for his survival.
Yeah.
I think his number was like 218 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like number 67, I think she was the thief who stole at the beginning.
Yeah.
She actually was from North Korea. I remember her bringing that up when she was when she was in the marbles game with the other younger woman, 240 something. I'm trying to remember all the numbers. I have some written down.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, those two girls being in there really had she was from North Korea, obviously. Told that whole story about her coming over with her family, trying to come over with her family, was a little heavy, I think.
Yeah.
By you. And then the thug guy, I thought was just so funny. And I think his character would have been much more engaging, going back to our point, had it not been dubbed over. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
his character, I think, was so watered down.
I saw a scene of his with the dub, and it was laughable.
Like the marbles in the arena with the marbles, when he screams that because he won, or when
bad.
You know what I mean?
Like, yeah.
Sounds terrible. I'm like, what? Hearing his genuine emotion in that scene probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And then the annoying girlfriend he had, 212.
Oh, yeah, she was nuts.
God, crazy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other characters that really stuck out to you. Oh, and the old man.
Yeah, one.
He was so sweet. Like I didn't want him to lose.
Yeah.
I was honestly rooting for him to win the whole thing, not even the main character.
Yeah.
I found him,
I feel like he was kind of written that way.
right. I found him to be the most compelling. Like his motivation. He just wanted to like, instead of like letting his death come to him, he wanted to like go out there and kind of, even if it ended up, well, it did end up in his death, but he wanted to like go out and like kind of write his own like final story, like his final, which I think was really cool and like honorable.
Yeah. But anyway, what's next for our week of TV shows, Jared?
Well, it took a lot of badgering, probably over a year now, but we finally convinced Ben to agree to watch Ted Lasso. So we're going to start with the first season. We'll talk about that next week, and then we'll move on to season 2 the week after that, just to give Ben a chance to watch it, digest it, all that good stuff that goes along with it.
Yep.
So that's what's on the docket for the next.
For all those veteran listeners who may remember from the radio show, Ted Lasso won the Jabcast Show of the Year.
Yeah, best show of the year so far.
I mean, two of the three of us voted for it, so I mean, it was a pretty easy victory.
No, but remember, it was ranked choice voting.
Yeah, it was
we
ranked.
Both voted number 1 out of 10.
It's a great show. And then the one guy who worked on the show like retweeted it and was like, Ted Lasso already raking in.
Yeah, that was like before the Emmys.
yeah, it was right before it because we wanted to kind of create our own version of it.
Yeah, that was funny.
Benjamin,
what's going on?
Something that you're a little more excited to dive into here. Your music. What's on the list here?
Yeah, pretty much what there always is. I say that after one episode of this format. Yeah, we'll start with some album discussion. Last week we exchanged albums, and then later on we're going to trade albums. And this is pretty much what I think our music segment's going to look like, barring any major music news. We're going to trade albums, and then discuss them, and then trade again, and it'll be very cyclical. So yeah, let's talk. Each person last week gave out an album, just threw it out there. So the other two members listened to it, and we're going to give our feedback on the album, what we thought, because that's what we do. We just things and give our feedback. Yeah, I'm going to go first since I'm already talking.
Go for it.
Jared gave us Punk by Young Thug, his latest effort, and Alec gave us War and Wonders by D Smoke, actually his latest effort as well. I liked both of these albums. For Punk, I don't even know if I was even hyped up for it. He had been talking about it for like 2 years. It just never came out, and finally it came out. I think Jared, when he announced it, he said it was going to be like a Punk album, like he was going to be working with.
Yeah,
that obviously was not the case.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it was fine. Young Thug, for me, you kind of know what you're going to get, and I think he always does his thing really well. I need to pull up the album so I can look at the tracks I thought stood out. He has a very good
art was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was based off of like an old like Spanish paint or like Mexican painting.
Really?
Passage of Time, which I thought was really cool. But I mean, with Young Thug, I would bet that he thought that it looked cool, so he did that. But I think Stress was pretty good. I'm not a big J. Cole guy, but sometimes he impresses me. What else was good? Road Rage I really liked. This one not as much, but I think with rap albums, we talked about this ad nauseum, but they're just really bloated. I mean, this one's 20 songs, which is pretty long, but I don't think it didn't have like as much filler. You can usually tell when a song is filler.
Yeah.
But for me, this is a very middle of the road Thug project. I don't think it was outstanding, but I don't think it was like his worst. It was just false advertising. It was just not what he said it was going to be, which is fine because it still ended up being good. But
it was weird, not to hijack it just for a minute here. The one song he did, TikTok, which he performed on SNL, and he did it at the Tiny Desk concert when he announced Punk, that had Travis Barker on it, and it's not on this album.
Yeah. Oh, I never,
That made no sense to me.
um, yeah, just weird. I mean, it was still fine. But I actually really like this next album, War and Wonders by D Smoke. Alec has been a long time D Smoke fan, so if you're listening, send him some merch or something.
Yeah.
His merch actually looked pretty dope.
Does
This
it?
also I think was a great cover, album cover.
Oh, this one's really cool.
He has a way of, I wouldn't say it's like Kendrick Lamar level, but he paints a picture really well and he tells a story really well. And his albums, at least the two that I've listened to, have been very thematic, almost conceptual, mainly about his life and like what he's going through. He's got some really big features on this one, which I thought was really cool. Kind of shows you his growth. BJ the Chicago, oh my god, I just stuttered. BJ the Chicago Kid was on one of the tracks. Sir was on one of the tracks. Ty Dolla Sign. So we got three pretty major R&B.
John Legend.
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that. But yeah, I mean his similarity to Kendrick Lamar goes just beyond his lyricism. Obviously, he sounds like him at certain points. But yeah, I would say I was impressed by this album. I didn't love it, but I can see where he wants to go with his music, and I can also see why people would like his music so much. He's very exciting. I think he has a lot of potential. For me personally, I just think that with his production, it hasn't like clicked for him yet, but I think it will. He still has a lot of room to grow, but I can see the promise. I really like this album. I think Good Thing was really good. I'm normally not a huge Ty Dolla Sign fan, but sometimes similar to what I just said about
J. Cole.
yeah, he comes out every once in a while and gives a good verse. Fireboy was really good on Sleepwalking. I think the second half was actually pretty strong. Usually with rap albums, they kind of die out after like the halfway point, but I think that this was good. It got better actually. So yeah, I really liked it. Not one of my favorites, but I was very pleasantly surprised. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about the albums. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Alec, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, well, I'll just start with saying like I obviously, as Ben said, I'm a huge D Smoke fan. Have been since I found him on that one Netflix show, which the name of it's escaping me. Yeah, Better Half on this album was probably my favorite song. I thought it was very nice, very good. One thing I like about D Smoke's albums is that he always has like those like kind of just almost like conversations that are in a part of songs all the time. I think that's so cool. It's different. I don't hear that on a lot of rap songs. But going into Jared's album, which Ben had already talked about, again, cover art was amazing. But this one was not kind of what I expected from Young Thug. I don't know why. I was expecting something a little, I guess, more, I don't even know how to say it, more rap like, I guess. This one seemed more, I want to say almost like leaning more towards reggae and R&B style instead of like hip hop and rap, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like it was good. I thought it was really great. Very different. But very, very like, I know you hate this for Jared, but I think it was just like vibes the whole
Yeah.
It's just vibes.
No, I agree.
Like,
I agree.
It's and I know you hate it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm
definitely
agreeing
what I
with you. I'm
Yeah.
agreeing with you.
And then Ben handed out Gorillas by Gorillaz. And Gorillas is 100% not everyone's cup of tea, but they're great. I think they're a great band. I think they produce great music. They're very different, very off the wall, very, very. I love the instrumental part of their whole this whole album. I'm not sure if like I pay attention to their lyrics enough to really hear if they're like good lyricists, but Ben, you can correct me if their lyrics are like incredible, but I don't think that's their main deal. I think they focus more on their instrumentals and the actual music that they're playing.
Right.
And I feel like it's 100% that way because they had what 3-4 songs on this album that are strictly instrumental.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up because, well, first of all, would you believe me if I told you that Gorillaz was just one guy?
It is.
Yeah.
I knew that. I thought, yeah, we
I didn't
actually
know
talked
that.
about that.
And also, you know that song that's like the woohoo, bow now, bow wow 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 wow. That song.
Yeah.
The guy who sang that, it's his like side project, and he started it as a parody of like what pop music sounded like in the '90s. So the lyrics are supposed to be like fake deep, on this album. Like eventually they got like deeper because they got like more. He got more serious about Gorillaz, but so you're supposed to take them seriously, but also like realize that it's like parodying like '90s pop music.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I did really like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good song. But yeah, I think the whole thing is very much music and instrument focused.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jared felt. Also,
I have a different opinion. I really wanted to like it. Also, I played a computer game where you played as like the characters, the Gorillaz, like the 4 guys on the album art, and it played Gorillaz music while you played the game. And I had no idea it was like a band or anything. You like drove like a dune buggy in a desert.
Yeah.
And that was it. Yeah. And I just thought it was a game. So I actually knew a lot of these songs from playing that. And yeah, I don't know how to just, it's very instrumental. But I didn't really like a lot of them. Some of them just felt like ringtones to me.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely get the artistic side to it. It's just not my thing. And I knew I was in trouble. I don't know how far into the album Clint Eastwood is. It's relatively early, isn't it?
I think it's pretty early.
Yeah. Because I knew I knew that was one of their big songs, and I heard that.
It's the 5th song, and then there's like a remix at the end. That's the last song.
Yeah, so there's like 15 regular songs and then 2 remixes at the end. So it's like a third of the way in. And I hit Clint Eastwood, and I remember actually hearing this before somewhere else, and I hating it. And I'm like, oh no, I don't like Clint Eastwood. This is not going to be good. There are songs I like way better than Clint Eastwood, and they're not all bad. Rehash and 5, what is that? 5/4, 5/4, however you say it.
5/4.
Yeah, 5/4. Yeah, those were probably my 2 favorites. It had a strong opening, so I was excited, and then it just kind of tapered off from there. I wanted to like it. I really did, Ben.
It's okay. When we talk about these albums, I don't want you guys to like worry about like offending me. Like I if I don't like an album, I will like openly speak poorly about it. So don't give your honest thoughts.
I don't think either of you are really gonna like my next album that much.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. But then next up, Warm Wonders by D Smoke. I actually did listen to this before when you told me to, Alec. Or I think when it came out. I think I preloaded it. Whatever.
Yeah, I knew you listened to it before. I just wanted to like put it on here so we could all talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I have a lot of the same opinions as both of you. He's very reminiscent of Kendrick Lamar, and that's not a bad thing at all. Obviously, he's not at that level yet. I think he has the potential. It's weird that I think he's almost trying too hard. I feel like he's just trying, and not that he shouldn't do this, but every single song, it seems like he's trying to make a statement, which again is completely fine. And if that's how he wants to, go for it. But I feel like he thinks he needs to, and he doesn't. I think he could make a really great song if he just like chilled out and just did something for fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kind of go at it, not making a song for a purpose really, and just doing it to like make a fun song.
Yeah.
And not that these aren't fun either, but you know what I mean? They're very 3-dimensional, and I think he actually might flourish making a couple 2-dimensional songs to kind of I don't know, change up the pace of the albums a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, these are both this and what was the first one? Black Habits, both really good. I'm not even sure which one I like better yet. I've got to.
I feel
Yeah,
like with D Smoke, he's the kind of guy who's experienced so much.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to share his
Yeah.
life with everybody. But I don't think he's quite grasped that he doesn't have to share his whole life through 3 albums. If he has
Exactly.
another one in the works, like he could stretch it to 5 or 6, you know?
Exactly. And this is not a short album. It's an hour long. I think Black Habits was around the same.
Mhm.
So for 2, I guess Black Habits was his debut.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. So his debut and his sophomore, both almost exclusively getting to that introspective stuff with no break in formula. Not that it gets old or gets stale or anything, but you kind of get
Wonder how long he's going to be able to keep it up.
Yeah, and you get exhausted. Again, not a bad thing. Emotional exhaustion can be a good thing, but just you have to hang on every word.
Especially with him releasing them in back-to-back years.
Yeah.
2
But
albums in 2 years.
Yeah. Very talented artist. I'm glad you got him on my radar. I'm gonna keep a lookout for more of his work. Hopefully he can do some good features soon too. I know he's got good features on this album, but I'd like to maybe that's what'll kind of break his I don't want to say cycle, but just kind of get him out of his comfort zone of talking about this stuff and just doing like a fun feature with someone.
Yeah.
I'll be on the lookout for that. But yeah, really good album. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad you both enjoyed it. Now,
I'll give you guys my album if we want to start.
Yeah, I was gonna say something real quick before we jump into album trading.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't know if you guys, if you want to do it, we can. But when we give the album, I was thinking the other two will look at the album cover or the album art and give like a first impression type of deal.
I like that.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. So Jared, go ahead. What album we're gonna be listening to?
All right. So I have also not listened to this, but I need an excuse to listen to it. Just out of pure curiosity. So I'm giving us all the homework. It's Blessing and Miracles by Santana.
Yeah.
So you pull up I don't know. I'm looking at it on Apple Music right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it on mine.
Is that an Aztec art?
Yeah, that's what I would.
It's Aztec.
To me, this looks like classic. I'm expecting classic Santana through this album.
I mean, he's recognizable to the point where you can just hear like a signature chord that he's played and know it's that. He that song Wild Thoughts, DJ Khaled made with Bryson Tiller and Rihanna. Mm-hmm. My mom heard the first 3 seconds of that and she goes, "Is that Santana?" I'm like, "No." And then she's like, "No." She's like, "Look into it." I'm thinking it's Santana, and it was. So that really impressed me. But yeah, I've never listened to a full-length Santana album. I don't even know if I could name a song. I just know who he is. So I want to listen.
You probably would know a few songs if you listen to him.
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
But
Chris Stapleton's on this album.
Yeah, I know.
G-Eazy.
I'm expecting classic Santana from this album.
Ben, what are you feeling?
No, I agree with you guys. When I think of Santana, I think of like really smooth, like Latin guitar, and this is obviously reflected in that artwork. So I expect the same.
All right,
here we go. All right, Honky Tonk Heroes.
That is what I am dishing out. Honky Tonk Heroes by Waylon Jennings.
Wow, I cannot spell it all. I wrote horny.
Oh.
Hey, we can say it. We're not on the air.
Yeah. I'm picking this one because a lot of people tend to think that this is I mean, everybody obviously has their opinions, but this one is definitely a classic country album, country piece that everybody seems to think is very instrumental in how country music is thought of today. This is a very, very big, important album, 1973, classic, top-notch country album, along with Johnny Cash's Live at Folsom Prison. that's
Mhm.
another album that's considered like the country album. So that's kind of why I wanted to put it on here and see what you guys kind of can hear through it with your because we all listen to music very differently. Everybody
Yeah.
listens to music very differently.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wanted to throw this on here and see what you guys thought about
I'm looking at the album art. Which one is Waylon Jennings? I just realized I have no idea what he looks like.
it. I want to say, I think it's the guy with a beard, like kind of
In the dark suit in the
yeah,
front.
that's who I believe it
Look
is.
it up. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I like Waylon Jennings. He did the never mind. I almost sang it. I'm not going to. Continue.
I think that this looks like an old like John Denver cover, so I think I know what I'm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ben, what's your album?
Yeah, this is Sympathy for Life by Parquet Courts. It's their first album since their 2018 project called Wide Awake. They're kind of like I don't know what like genre you would call them. They're like we'll call them alternative.
That's what Apple Music calls it.
It's like art rock, I guess, kind of, or like art funk rock. Yeah, they're very politically charged. They have a lot of opinions, but their music is also really good instrumentally. They took a couple years off, I think, because I think one of the members got like really disillusioned with the music industry. But they're back, and this is really good. It's certainly different from their last stuff. It has a lot more electronic sounding instruments. I really like it, and I'm excited to see what you guys think about it. It's not normally
I'm
stuff
excited.
you guys would probably listen to. So
Yeah.
you guys
Looking at the album cover, my first impression is definitely artistic.
I probably shouldn't have explained what the theme of the album is or like their music before. But yeah, go ahead.
But it just seems extremely artistic.
There's a baby sucking on a teat on a.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't.
And then is that a Pez dispenser in front? Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed.
I love it.
I gotta feel. I kind of. Ben, have you listened to it already?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah, I kind of. I don't know why, but I feel like it's gonna reference a lot of like millennial nostalgia. Just because of that Pez dispenser.
I thought you were gonna say just because of the boob.
No, not at all.
I'm listening.
Yeah. But oh man.
Did you say it's parquet?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like the floor pattern that's like just Google Boston Celtics basketball court, and that's what parquet is.
Got it. Well, you guys ready for my random thought?
I'm really excited to see where you're going to take this.
Yeah, this can go a million different ways.
Why don't you let the people know what the outline says?
It says the Bible.
Yes, the Bible. And something that I am still trying to find statistics, is I read that the Bible is the most shoplifted book ever.
That's so fitting.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Not makes sense. It's getting yeah.
I I found this and I'm like, I don't know. Is it because people are searching for this kind of I guess answers, like you could say? Are they searching for something that this is the book that they keep grabbing, or are other books not on the shelf as long as the Bible, and the Bible just happens to rack up numbers every year because it's been available way longer than any other book? Like, what I kind of want to get your opinions and your thoughts on why the Bible.
I would say a lot of people who are probably down on their luck financially look for some kind of like source of hope. So they like don't have money to buy a Bible, but they'll like steal one. And on the other side of the coin, I'd say people steal it because it's the Bible. There's a little bit of like
irony.
Yeah, or like you're like skirting with like eternal damnation by stealing the Bible,
Hmm.
give people an adrenaline rush. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I had a similar thought, and I also just Googled it, and someone offered an explanation. The Bible is also available for free at many places of worship, so there might be less guilt if you steal it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I could get it for free anyway, so, which,
I don't know.
but yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that kind of like came up that like crossed my mind. Like if a book is on the shelf for like say Ben writes a book and it's on the shelf for 2 years and it's stole and somebody steals it 100 times, but then it comes off the shelf after 2 years. Will the Bible just surpass that because it's constantly on the shelf at bookstores?
If I'm writing a book, that thing's off the shelves in a week. People are just gonna buy it.
Oh man. Well, but like you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
is that why the Bible is the most stolen book, or is it strictly because it's just something people want to get their hands on?
I think we
Yeah.
should each steal a Bible and write down like how we feel.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, Alec,
I don't know.
it's funny you bring this up. I recently started reading for fun recently, and Isaac Asimov,
Nope.
he wrote he's got a show. There's a show out right now based on a science fiction book he wrote called Foundation.
Mhm.
The movie I, Robot, also based on a book he wrote. So he does a lot of sci-fi stuff, and he does a historical, like factual breakdown of the Bible in 2 parts, the Old and New Testaments. And I was thinking about reading that soon, but now I think I'm just going to steal it.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that kind of just like sparked my curiosity, and I kind of wanted to hear what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, that is interesting. Do you think it's per year, or do you think of all time? Because if it's of all time, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's kind of where
Because it's always available.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Like, is it an all-time thing, or is it just kind of like rack up 10 people 10 got stolen in a year, so we'll just add that to the tally. Like,
Yeah, that might be what it is.
and that's what I'm trying to figure out. And I mean, in my quick little Googling here and the here and there Googles I've done before, I can't find anything that supports either one of those arguments. They're just like statistics show this is it. I
Yeah.
don't quite know yearly, all time. I don't know. But hopefully by next show I can give you all an answer.
Yeah.
Probably won't. I might even forget.
You
By next
might.
show, I'll have a stolen Bible in my possession.
Oh
Ooh.
my god.
Right, and you'll read passages from to us and tell us if you feel guilty.
I never feel guilty about anything. So
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I think that is all the time we have today. I don't know. You guys have anything else? And you guys have any final thoughts?
what's your least favorite smell?
My least favorite smell.
Oh. We're not on the radio. You can say whatever you want.
a recently shit toilet, I think, is probably my least favorite.
Oh my god, dude.
I live with 4 roommates, and I'll often walk in there, and I think the heat of our enclosed bathroom, the smell of a bird makes like a particularly smelly. No,
I've smelled some really bad stuff, not on purpose.
I'd say the worst thing that I ever smelled was a dead bird when I was cleaning out my garage.
Oh,
It was it was just back there under a whole bunch of waterlogged leaf bags. It was just gross. That was probably the worst thing ever.
yeah. That's something that's like underratedly disgusting is like water smell, like mold, things
Oh
like that.
yeah,
That's probably mine. Okay, so it's not a specific smell, but it's the smell of anything that you could tell was moist. Like it used to be moist. Like it's that like it's just so aromatic. You like you take
not like rain smell. Like when
no,
like
yeah.
that smell outside when it's about to rain. I actually like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like something that was once wet and is now you can't consider it wet, but you can
It's
tell it was.
saturated.
Yeah.
it's got damp smell.
Yeah. It's like damp, waterlogged. because you got like mold building up, and that might be because I'm allergic to mold.
Nah, probably.
So it's not so much that I don't like the smell as that it's actually killing me. But
Well, all right, everybody. Well, we'll be
how's
back
that for food
next
for
week.
thought?
We'll be back next week to tell you more about crappy smells.
Yeah.
Thanks,
See
guys.
everybody. Thanks for listening.